in order to promote reconciliation with Florida's voters. Please, committee members, take notice of what you have heard today. Senator Bill Nelson came up here and applauded and endorsed the Osmond petition. State Senator Joyner applauded the Osmond petition. I'm the representative of the Obama campaign. I'm endorsing the Osmond petition. If we in Florida can get it together and be unified, if we could keep our eye on the ball in November, so can you. Let's get this done today. Ladies and gentlemen, I also ask that you please reinstate the unpledged superdelegates from Florida with a partial half vote for each, the same as for the pledged delegates. This would be fair and promote unity amongst Florida Democrats and the National Party. We are now well past the 11th hour in this year's nominating process, and we must resolve this situation without disrupting that process. For the sake of the voters in Florida, and for the sake of our prospects as a party in the November election, it is time for the campaigns and the Rules Committee to reach a dignified and high-minded resolution that brings Florida within our selection process and begins the unification of the Democratic Party in Florida, in Michigan, and throughout this nation. We are here, the Obama campaign, to participate in this unifying process and commend you for reconsidering the reinstatement of Florida's delegates. Thank you for the opportunity to address you today.
You've just heard a major concession from the Obama campaign, from Congressman Bob Wexler, saying that they will permit Florida to be counted, that they are conceding to the Clinton demand in the interest of party unity. Tad Devine, the significance of what you just heard.
Well, Andrea, this is it. That's the deal. The Florida challenge is ready. It's ripe. All the committee has to do is pick it off the tree right now. It's a done deal.
And Chuck?
It looks like the only thing that they're disagreeing about is the superdelegates. Are they whole or are they half? Which could, be about somewhere between a 5 to 10 delegate difference for Senator Clinton.
And here you're going to hear questions to Bob Wexler, but it's clear that this is a major concession from the Obama campaign for the seating of the Florida delegation, and this will give Clinton what she wants out of Florida. Of course, Michigan's still to be resolved.
And the popular vote. Let's not forget that's a 300. That means the primary counts. That primary counts. I think you will see news organizations legitimately. I mean, it's a color on the map. There's a lot of little things, and no matter what happens today, Senator Clinton can now say she got something, she won something, and she can feel good about even if she doesn't get what she wants out of Michigan.
And before we go back to the floor, let me just quickly point out that on the campaign trail today, former President Bill Clinton has signaled that Hillary Clinton will accept the verdict of this Rules Committee, Democratic National Committee weekend. So that begins to set the stage for party unity. Now back to the Rules Committee itself.
The folks who came out and voted on January 29th, I think voting in a straw poll, voting when it will count, voting when it's non-binding, just plain voting is just plain America, and I congratulate the folks who did come out and vote. I do know that reality, there are some folks who may have believed us when we said that the presidential vote was non-binding, and maybe that influenced whether or not they would go to the polls on January 29th. It is my understanding that there was another statewide issue on the ballot, and that related to property tax issues that elicited considerable passion, I'm sure. For those of you who don't know, I come from California. I was there when Proposition 13 came out. A lot of folks came out to vote with Howard Jarvis. I didn't, but property tax issues do bring a lot of people to the polls. So I am wondering, and am hoping that perhaps you can speak to addressing the concerns that Governor Dean, our two wonderful co-chairs, and many of us here are also concerned about. How do we redress, how do we respect the folks in Florida who believed us when they were told that the presidential vote would not count? While there were 1.7 million folks, I believe approximately, who did turn out, Florida, lucky Florida, has over 4 million Democrats. State Senator Joyner, of course, and I think we all allow that there would have been so many more voters potentially coming out if they knew their vote was going to count. Can you address to me and to the group of us here how we might consider that as we try to be fair to all the voters of Florida, those who participated and those who believed us when we told them this was a non-binding vote?
Thank you for your question. Please understand, I represent a congressional district where many people voted for Al Smith for president in 1928. They take voting very seriously, and they have done so for many years. Senator Nelson was correct, I believe, when he answered the question and stated that this was, in fact, an extraordinary turnout. 1.7 approximately million Floridians, Democrats, came out to vote. State Senator Joyner was also correct. Had Senator Clinton and Senator Obama campaigned in our state, undoubtedly hundreds of thousands more Floridians would have come to cast their vote. As extraordinary as that 1.7 million turnout was for Democrats, I respectfully suggest to you, I believe Florida was the only state in the union where the Republican turnout was actually more than the Democratic turnout. One thing I will not accept is the suggestion that Democrats in Florida are less passionate about this election than are Republicans in Florida. So how do we resolve this? We resolve it by doing what we are petitioning for today, a compromise that suggests that all of the parties have a valid point, but that we must reconcile as a party with the voters of Florida. And the way to do that is to grant the Ostman petition, to put our delegates at the convention according to that petition, and to move forward unified into the general election campaign. That respects the view of all those voters, those that turned out, those that did not, the campaigns for one candidate, the campaigns for another. But most importantly, it puts the Florida Democratic Party in a position to honor Floridians and to win the state of Florida for our nominee in November.
Thank you, Congressman. As the grandson of the person who coined the phrase "the happy warrior" when he nominated Al Smith for president, I'd like to send a special greeting to your constituents, who I'm sure are watching. And the next question is from Tina Flournoy.
Thank you, Congressman. And I have a question for you, and then I have a point of clarification for the co-chair, or a question for the co-chairs. And my question to you, Congressman, is very simple. Would you oppose full restoration of Florida's entire delegation with a full vote?
Thank you for your question. We are here arguing for the maximum number of delegates that your rules allow. Please understand, nobody